something I found interesting looking at this gas gauge. When you look at it, you'd think it was empty, and this has concerned me a couple of times that I've gotten gas that I was going to run out. From about a quarter of a tank to where it is now, all within about 15 miles this has happened. I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but I have an app on my phone that it's called Torque, and I have a Bluetooth OBD reader that I've got connected right now, but obviously I'm using my phone so you can't see it. But right now the ECM is actually reading that I have 13% fuel left in the tank, and I normally don't let it run down that far, but I just gas went up, and it just came down today, so I'm probably going to fill up. But it says I have 13% fuel left, yet the gauge is on empty. And in my Comp G, if the gauge was this empty, not only would my fuel warning light be coming on and all this other stuff, but it was literally down to the wire as far as gas is concerned. But I don't know if the gauge is just inaccurate, but it's just weird that my low fuel light has never come on, the warning. I don't know if it's going to here real quick, but I've been warming my car up here for about 10 minutes, and I still haven't seen anything. And usually when the gas gauge is this low, or at least in my Comp G, it would be immediate that the low fuel warning would come on. I don't know if any of you have experienced this or whatever, but as far as the ECM is concerned, I still have 13% of my gas tank left, and this thing says I have nothing left. So it's kind of weird. And I was scanning it earlier, a couple days ago, when I had a half a tank, and oddly, even with the needle at the half, my ECM had told me that I only had about 34% fuel left. So I'm guessing the gauge is inaccurate somehow. I don't know if it's a fault of the instrument cluster, if it's just the design that changed later on. My 04 never did this. So I'm about to go get gas right now, but if I were just basing it off the gauge, I'd be freaking out right now. But I continuously check with my OBD2 reader and find out that in fact I have more fuel in there than this is saying. And it would make sense if the low fuel light isn't coming on right now, because it's reading from the ECM what I actually have, and the gauge itself is actually kind of messed up. So I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but that's just something that a little observation I had. That was it. Alright, so here I am. I drove about 3-4 miles, and I just rechecked the ECM, and now it's showing 10% in my fuel. It just started reading 10%. This is from the time that I warmed up my car to the time that I actually left. So the fuel cutoff is obviously, or when it starts alerting, it's obviously at 10%. So that's something to kind of a little food for thought, I guess, that when the ECM thinks you have less than or at 10%, that's when it kicks in the low fuel light. So anyway, I'm about to get gas now, and I'm going to try to put in exactly half a tank, and we'll see if what it reads afterwards. But right now it's reading 9.9%. Okay, so it's a 15-gallon tank, and I tried to get exactly 7.5 gallons in here, which worked out to be $25. But my ECM is reading that I have 54.1% fuel. As soon as I get it home, obviously I'll use a little bit of fuel getting it home, but I'm going to check it. But according to and that's an evap sensor, by the way, and that's my gas cap, which happened in my Comp G a lot, but the gas gauge is actually reading just about where it should. If I'm at 54%, that's right where it should be. But oddly, as the tank starts going empty, this needle doesn't seem to be too accurate. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. As soon as it's warmed up more and gets a better reading, I'm gonna see what happens.